Hi folks, HR Funk here with a 1911 pistol review, and I've reviewed a lot of 1911s over the years, but this one's going to be a little bit different because this is a SIG 1911, and this is going to be the first time that I've reviewed a SIG 1911. In fact, this is only the second time that one of these handguns has appeared on the channel, and SIG has a reputation for manufacturing very high-end 1911 pistols, and specifically the one that I have here with me today is the Emperor Scorpion Carry pistol. And here in the shop, we're going to be taking a close-up look at this handgun. I'll be telling you about its features and functions. Then we'll head off to the range and see how it shoots. So here we go. So when you purchase your SIG Scorpion Carry or any of the SIG 1911 pistols, it comes home with you from the store in a nice plastic hard case. As you can see, it has latches and it can also be locked closed. Opening it up, we find the Scorpion Carry itself. By the way, I'm going to shorten the name to Scorpion Carry rather than saying Emperor Scorpion Carry every single time I refer to this handgun. But opening the case, we find the handgun itself. It comes with two 8-round magazines. It also comes with the usual amount of propaganda that we see here, along with a SIG owner's manual, and of course the obligatory bicycle lock in case you want to lock this handgun to your bicycle. Turning our attention to the Scorpion Carry itself, we can see that it is a commander size handgun with the 4¼ inch barrel. Actually, this is ever so slightly shorter. I'll talk about that a little bit later. This is actually a 4.2 inch barrel in the Scorpion Carry. It is a bobtail style 1911. You can see here the rounded area at the bottom of the grip and the bottom of the mainspring housing, and it also is finished in a desert tan PVD coating. Starting the top-down look at the SIG Scorpion Carry, we can see that it has the SIG Light night sights, both of which are dovetailed into the slide, so the sights are drift adjustable for windage, but there's no provision for elevation adjustment. It has rear cocking serrations and a few front cocking serrations. They are up there, and they seem to work pretty well, at least at the rear. The front ones, I guess they'll work if you're doing a press check or just want to cycle the slide from the front. The Scorpion Carry has a skeletonized commander-style hammer that you can see here, which looks suspiciously like a MIM part to me. Now, I'm not all that upset about firearms using MIM parts. So long as the MIM process is done properly, the parts are perfectly serviceable. But for the price these handguns command, and this is one of the more expensive 1911s that I've reviewed here on the channel, I would expect that it would have forged parts all the way through. So I could be wrong. Maybe this is a forged hammer and it's just been relieved in through here to reduce weight and increase lock time, but it does look like a MIM part to me. This handgun has ambidextrous thumb safeties that you can see here, and the safety lever on the left side of the pistol is fairly large, definitely larger than a GI style safety, but on the right side of the pistol it's very muted. It's probably maybe a little bit more than half as wide as the safety lever on this side of the pistol, and it's also, I was going to say it's a little bit shorter. I think it is just a little bit shorter. So I suppose if you're a right-handed shooter and you're carrying this in a holster, maybe that helps prevent the safety lever on this side from being inadvertently disengaged, but I don't know. That kind of strikes me as odd that that is so reduced. Maybe it's also to prevent that safety lever from interfering with your trigger finger, which is probably more likely now that I'm looking at it with the handgun in a shooting grip. The slide stop also has a slightly more pronounced shelf that we see right here than we would typically see on a GI style part. It is grooved, as I hope you can see there if I can get the light just right. The slide stop, of course, is not ambidextrous. In fact, the only ambi part on the pistol is that thumb safety. Moving to the muzzle, we can see the barrel has a recessed crown, and that's the reason for the slightly shorter barrel length rather than the typical commander length of 4.25 inches. This is actually 5/100ths of an inch shorter. and that's the reason why. The recoil system in the Scorpion Carry is the typical GI style system, which I prefer. The trigger on this pistol is skeletonized. It's a medium length trigger that you see here, and the reach to the trigger feels good. The grip safety has the so-called memory bump, and it is the accentuated beaver tail style. The grips on the Scorpion Carry are made of composite G10 material, and the texturing feels very good. There's a slight swell to the grips, so they fill the hand nicely. And also the mainspring housing that you can see here has a portion of that grip texture applied to it as well. The Scorpion Carry has a lowered and flared ejection port that you can see right there to help improve functional reliability. It also, and some of you 1911 purists have probably already spotted this, has an external extractor, which, while perfectly functional and I think a little easier and less expensive to manufacture, and definitely you don't have to worry about tuning the external extractor nearly as much, I think it's odd that SIG added the external extractor when apparently they machined the slide for an internal extractor. And we can see right there where that extractor would normally be inserted into the slide. But whatever the reason, this pistol does have the external extractor, and as to why the slide appears to have been machined for an internal extractor, that's just going to have to remain a mystery. The Scorpion Carry does feature a Series 80 1911 action, and you can see the Series 80 firing pin safety plunger right there. And typically, I think of the Series 80 firing pin safety as being somewhat superfluous on a 1911, but at least in this instance, it doesn't seem to have an adverse effect on the trigger, which feels very good. I'll weigh this here shortly, but with the action cocked, there is a slight amount of take-up. There's just a tiny bit of creep. You see it right there, and you didn't see it that time. Just enough creep that I felt it that first time, and maybe I won't be able to replicate it. Right there, just a little bit of movement, but for anything other than maybe very precise bullseye shooting, that's going to be inconsequential. So let's grab the trigger pull scale, and we'll see where that trigger is breaking. By the way, reset is a little farther forward than we get sometimes with the 1911, but with the 1911, the reset is never bad. And here we go. Let's see if we can get a 3-pull average on the trigger for the Scorpion Carry. By the way, I keep wanting to call this pistol the Scorpion King. I think I'm channeling that Mummy movie from several years ago that featured The Rock. And the first pull is under 5 pounds, 4 pounds, 14.3 ounces. And I was thinking, just the way this trigger felt, that it was breaking somewhere probably between 4.5 and 5 pounds. Let's try a second pull. Second pull, just over 4.5 pounds, 4 pounds, 9.6 ounces. Let's try one more to get a 3-pull average. And the last one is 4 pounds, 12.9 ounces for a 3-pull average of There's some fine checkering to the front strap that you see there, which also aids with the grip of this handgun. There's no undercut at the rear of the trigger guard. You can see right there, which kind of surprises me with everything else that this handgun features, that it doesn't have the undercut trigger guard, but that's really not that big of a deal as far as I'm concerned. Also, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but the magazine release is an elongated version to make it a little easier to reach and to eject the magazine. And the magazine well is beveled to aid with magazine insertion during a reload. The magazines themselves, as I said at the beginning of the video, are 8-round single-stack 1911 magazines. They have numbered witness holes you can see along the side. And there is no manufacturer marked on these magazines, so I'm not sure where SIG sources them or if they manufacture them themselves, but in any case, there's nothing to indicate another manufacturer was involved in producing the magazines. The tail of the tape for the Scorpion Carry is as follows. It has an overall length of 7.7 inches with a barrel, as I said earlier, of 4.2 inches, a height of 5.5 inches, a width at its widest point of 1.4 inches, and a weight unloaded of 35 ounces. This handgun is constructed of a stainless steel slide and frame and a carbon steel barrel. And that's going to do it for the up-close look at the Scorpion Carry here in the shop. Now let's head off to the range and put it through its paces and see how it does. And as you can see, I've arrived out at the range with the SIG Scorpion Carry. In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to kick things off with a 15-yard accuracy test from the bench. But I wanted to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that before coming out here, I did properly clean and lubricate this pistol. Also, I want to say thanks to House of Pain Munitions for supplying the SIG Scorpion Carry for this review. Without their assistance, it wouldn't be possible. Today's ammunition for the test is going to be Blazer Brass 230 grain full metal jacket hardball ammunition. So with all that out of the way, let's see how this pistol is going to shoot. And let's go see where they hit. 4 out of the 5 are in a nicely centered group that's about 1.25, make that 1.5 inches center to center. And of course, I have a flyer that opens it up to about 2 7/8 inches. This, I'm sure, is my fault. This is looking really good to me, so I'm expecting good things for the rest of the test as far as accuracy goes. Now let's move on and try some more defensive-oriented drills. And next up, I'll try some controlled pairs from a distance of 5 yards. So we'll see how this goes. And not bad at all shooting at that shot tempo. I've got 4 of those shots that are on the heart, 1 of them just off in the lung, 1 that I pulled a little bit low down into the lung here. I think all those are going to be pretty effective shots. And again, that's pretty good performance from that SIG Scorpion Carry. And now it's back to 7 yards for some failure drills. This is going to be 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in rapid succession. By the way, for both the last drill and this drill, I started out with this handgun fully loaded with 8 rounds in the magazine and 1 round in the chamber. And so far, all throughout the test, the cycling has been perfect. Let's see if that continues through the next drill. So not bad accuracy on those failure drills from 7 yards, but I'm starting to hit off to the left, especially with this headshot from that first drill. And I noticed that as I'm coming up on target, my front sight is a little bit off to the left. And I don't know if that's just me, maybe something to do with the way I'm gripping the handgun, but it is something I'm starting to notice. I compensated for it, especially on these second 2 headshots. But again, that's something I'm noticing. Maybe it has something to do with those G10 grips and them being a little bit wider than most 1911s. Again, I'm not sure, but I'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to back off now to a distance of 15 yards, and we'll see what the accuracy looks like from there. So here we go, 5 shots to the body from 15 yards. We'll see how this goes. And I got downrange and found out my target camera had died again. But here are the impacts from those shots at 15 yards. So decent group, but again, they're tending to the left. Again, I'm seeing that front sight want to tend to the left. And I think this is just a matter of me, the way I'm gripping that pistol, and those G10 grips probably, because I don't typically have this situation with other 1911s that don't have those kind of grips. In any case, accuracy is still looking pretty decent. I'll go back when I get to the bench and check that rear sight and just make sure it doesn't look like it's a little bit off to the left. I don't think it is though, because like I said, I'm seeing that front sight tending to the left as I'm shooting. And no, that rear sight looks pretty well centered. If anything, it looks like it's a little bit off to the right. So we'll see what happens from back here at 25 yards. This is going to be 5 shots to the body from this distance. I'll try to keep this very well centered. I'll take a little bit more time squeezing off these shots, and I'll see how they look on the target. All right, a little more well-centered that time. I got a few shots that are trying to go off to the left there, but I was taking my time more, as you saw, and my shots are much more well-centered. So the accuracy from 25 yards is looking good, and it looks like any tendency I was having to the left is all my fault. So now it's time to find out if the SIG Scorpion Carry is a 7-yard tack driver. I'm going to load up 3 rounds, put a tack in the target, and we'll see how it goes. All right, folks, is the SIG Scorpion Carry a 7-yard tack driver? Let's find out. A little high on that first shot. So try a little lower for the second shot, see if we can drive that thing out of there. And there again is that tendency to hit off to the left. Just can't seem to shake that today. One more shot. And no, the SIG Emperor Scorpion Carry is not going to be a 7-yard tack driver, at least not today, not with me shooting it. So final thoughts on the SIG Emperor Scorpion Carry. It's a nice pistol. It's well outfitted in terms of its components. It functioned flawlessly out here today. The accuracy is good. In fact, I don't think I did the accuracy justice while I was shooting it. I think this was just a little bit of an off day for me. For whatever reason, as I've said several times, as I present this handgun, it just tends to want to bring that front sight to the left. I suspect it has something to do with these grips and the way they interface with my hands. And there are some firearms that just shoot better for some shooters than others, and this tends to be one that I just don't shoot that well. It's not a pistol problem, it's a shooter problem. In any case, if you have any questions or comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it'll save you 7% on your purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember, House of Pain Munitions, and again, thanks to House of Pain for supplying the SIG Scorpion Carry for this review today. If you go to House of Pain, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK10, and that'll save you 10% off your purchase from House of Pain Munitions. Last but not least is a Target sponsor for the channel. Once again, I have one of their Targets out here today. Go to Targets online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.